sugar, spice, and everything nice. These were the three ingredients chosen to make the perfect home console. But this genius over here added a super special ingredient to the concoction. Epic Major Awesomeness!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Retro Alliance Gaming. Of course, every time I do one of these, for some reason, Butters decides he wants to pop up and say hello to everybody. So look at my very cute angry kitty, like always. Look at that. Look at it. 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 Okay, sorry. Anyways, okay. So on today's episode, I just wanted to do some rants. You guys may have watched my previous videos. I did a rant or two. I did some fix-it videos. I did one test review, which I'm going to be working on a lot more, and I also did some playthroughs and walkthroughs, which later on you're going to see for commentary. But today I wanted to talk about the launch of the Dreamcast and the effect it actually had on me. Anybody who knows me knows I am absolutely obsessed with the Dreamcast. Some people might call this being a fanboy. I don't fucking care. The thing is, I love every system. I have literally games for everything. PC Engine, I have 200 Atari games, Sega CD, Xbox 360, PS3. I mean, literally, the system, you name it, Nintendo 64, whatever. But everybody's allowed to have their favorites. And for one point or another, you know, some people maybe it's a mix between the game that they're playing mixed with the time in their life that they're going through. Maybe it has some kind of an impact on them, or it could even just be this huge amount of nostalgia. For me, the Dreamcast is literally dead packed in the middle of this. So basically, when I was a kid, I had all my systems, my Genesis, my Super Nintendo, Sega does with Nintendo, but I loved all of them. And I remember when I was getting older in my teens, I had a PlayStation, a PS1, and I adored that system. I was like, holy shit, the first time I saw Crash Bandicoot. And I remember my brother Derek, and he's part of this story. He bought that for me, and I remember seeing, turning on the game and seeing Crash actually going into the screen in 3D, and I was literally like, oh my god, this is the best it could possibly get. Fast forward to a few years later, my brother Derek adopted me. I will go into the whole details of all of that. Basically, my parents had passed away, and my brother adopted me, and I moved from California to Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And he was no more than maybe, I think, 25, 26. You're probably correct me, Derek, if you're watching this video. But he took me in, and that was always a very meaningful thing for me because I wasn't used to any kind of stability in my life as of that point, and I have to thank my brother Derek for giving me the kind of stability he did. And I mean, he was a child himself trying to raise another kid, and for me, he made it where I learned so much. He would talk to me like an adult philosophically about everything, and I really think all the good that's in me is coming from him, and the fact that both of us are very strong-willed in a certain way. Not to go too much into that, but basically when I was a child, if I didn't have a certain amount of direction, most people would think I would just turn out to be the most crazy human being in the world. And mind you, I do have my issues like everyone else, but I'm a very caring, loving person. Anyways, fast forwarding, during my teen years, me and my brother had a house. He was working on it to try to resell it and got money from the bank, and this man worked his ass off, and I went to school every single day. We drove about 45 minutes into town, and after we got there, he dropped me off at school. He'd go to work. I, at the time, was going to a private school to get caught up, actually a Christian private school at the time. A very nice lady named Miss Jody, and yeah, I was pretty much going 12, 13 hours a day just like he was, and I remember I saved up a lot of money, and I was actually trying to help my brother at that time because I wanted us to get better. My brother had been through so much shit. This man had been through divorces, a lot of things I probably shouldn't even say right now, but he had been through hell stuff that as an adult myself, I deal with, and I couldn't even imagine having to take care of a child while doing all this. So my respect for this man is more than I could possibly begin to explain to you. And luckily, in the future, just so you know, this man who worked his ass off and got shit on a lot is married, has a child, and is absolutely doing amazing, which makes me feel better than I could ever possibly explain to you. I'm so happy for him. So to lead into the story of this, when I was in my teen years, when we were struggling during this point, and he literally was trying to fix up his house with a bank loan, and he trying to sell it, and it ended up going backwards, and we were just broke. He was working, he was single, he was lonely, and there was a lot of stuff going on, but we always had each other. And we used to, my favorite memory was us playing the Cure, and we would drive home from work, and he had I can't remember what the name of the damn car is, not the greatest car in the world, but it was a convertible, and we used to blast the Cure, and the wind would be blowing in our faces, and it was very relaxing going home. Anyways, getting to the point of Dreamcast now, I'm sorry, because, I kind of going back on my memories here. I remember when the Dreamcast came out, I was at, I believe, the mall in, oh god, I'm gonna say Jacksonville, Florida, and they had a kiosk, and I remember walking up to it, and they were showing like a demo, okay, and they were showing it for Sonic Adventure, and they were also showing Blue Stinger and NFL 2K. Mind you, I'm not a huge football fan, but that virtual tennis, and I literally shit my pants almost. Okay, I didn't actually do it, but figuratively, I was shitting my pants. It was like the most amazing thing you could ever imagine seeing. Suddenly you went from these 32-bit graphics to 128 bits, and it was so smooth and beautiful. No more pre-rendered backgrounds. It was all 3D, and I was just staring at this thing and longing like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's one of those things where you have to be there to understand it. There was no PS2, there was no Xbox, and there was no GameCube. This was the first system and the last system to count bits, 128 bits. Even with the PS2, it was a polygon count. So needless to say, I fell in love with the system. Now this isn't a review of the system. Again, this is my story of getting it. My brother saw it, we were both freaking out, and one thing that I pointed out to him was that Resident Evil Code Veronica was going to be coming out. Most people know that game as now a PS2 game. It was actually an exclusive Dreamcast title, and it was a sequel to Resident Evil 2, and basically Sony said, you're not allowed to put a number title on another system. So they made Resident Evil Nemesis, the spin-off 3, and they made Code Veronica, Resident Evil 3, the spin-off game, but it's clearly a sequel. Me and Derek had to have it. It was exclusive to that console for 3 to 4 years. So I'm looking, drooling at this system going, oh my god, I would do anything to get this, but we are so broke we can't do anything. I helped my brother and gave him money that I made, and he very reluctantly took it to help take care of things. And Christmas was coming along, and he told me, Travis, I would love to get this for you. I really want to get you the system, but I can't afford it, and I didn't want him to feel bad, and I said, was I disappointed? Well, yeah, of course, I wanted to have it, but I wasn't disappointed in him. I was disappointed in the situation. I wish we were doing better, but I love my brother, and I want him to, be okay. So I was like, don't worry about it, it's fine. So he set out 3 games on a table, and they looked to be PlayStation games. I had a PS1, so I was excited, and it was fine. We were going to have a Christmas together. It was just him and me. That was it. And before we got ready, they said, okay, let's go ahead and unwrap our presents. But beforehand, just go take a shower, get yourself cleaned up, because I always showered at night to get ready for the morning. And he said, and then we'll have our Christmas. So I went in, I took a shower. I remember I was thinking to myself, this can be a good Christmas, it'll be awesome. And like I said, I wasn't disappointed, the situation maybe, but not in Derek. And I wasn't thinking I was getting anything other than that. I had no idea in my brain that he was actually going to do this. So, long story short, after drooling, dreaming, even writing out ideas about things this Dreamcast could do that no other system couldn't, including online gaming, by the way, which was the pioneer for every other game system to do it, literally worldwide. It may have been a 56K modem, but they did have broadband later. Back to the story. A little ADD here. So I took a shower, and I got out of the shower, and I remember I was drying off my hair, I put on my clothes, I got all dressed, and I walked out the door, and I will never in my entire life forget this. Right when I walked out the door, sitting on top of the table was a square box about that big that was wrapped, and there were 2 extra games that were sitting there, and I was going, oh my god, 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 like, I was freaking out, and I'm like, Derek, what the hell is this? And he's like, he just smiled, he just looked at me, and my brother kind of did a smirk where he was like, just kind of smiling at me, and I was like, freaking out, and I'm like, wait, should I freak out, should I not freak out? Oh my god, this is the Dreamcast, maybe I'm just, okay, this can't be a Dreamcast, there's no way he got me a Dreamcast, and I'm like, okay, don't freak out yet, don't freak out, but he's smiling, and I'm thinking, this gotta be true. It's kind of like when Shenmue 3 was announced last year. I remember Yu Suzuki put up a video, or he posted on Twitter a picture of a forklift. I'm like, oh my god, Shenmue 3? Shenmue 2, HD? This isn't happening, don't get excited, right? God, I wish you had our reaction last year from that. But I looked at it, and he smiled, and he's like, are you ready? And I said, yeah. And I'm like, okay, what is it? He's like, just sit down and open it. And I sat there, and you'd think I would have ripped this open, but I just kind of slowly opened up the packaging, and I was ripping it open, just very slowly, and I got to the top of the box, and it was a fucking Sega Dreamcast. It was this box sitting right there, and it was literally the most exciting moment of my life. I screamed, I ran around the room, I'm pretty sure I cried, and I was like, oh my god, and I saw this system, and I just couldn't believe my brother actually got this for me. The thing is, I was so happy to have it, and my brother, we played Resident Evil 1 when I was 11 years old together. He wanted to play it too, and the thing about it was I was so happy, and I was a little moved at the same time and sad at sometimes because my brother was so broke, we barely had groceries, and he took every penny this man had to buy me a Sega Dreamcast just so he can see me smiling on Christmas. And I will never forget that. So Derek, just so you know, I know I've told this story before, you know, but never like this. But you have no idea how grateful I am to you for everything, taking care of me, raising me, and that moment in my life. That may seem like a stupid moment to everybody else, but not to me. Video games for me is a love, it's a passion, it's something that it's just something that I can't explain to you. Take something you like more than anything in the world and multiply it by 10, and that's how I feel about these things. And I never forgot that moment. I never forgot that he did that for me until this day. I love him to death. He's always been the bigger brother, even though I'm 32 now. He's like 45. I don't even know where the hell the years went. But even now, he still gives me advice. I call him, but he's doing really good, making money. He's happy and in the military, and it's awesome. So, long story short, I got this system. Now, past the sentimental stuff, one of the first games that he wanted to play, and this was not a launch title, by the way, but I want to talk about was Resident Evil Code Veronica. Now, this is the game I was talking about. I kind of have it wrapped up in this plastic casing for protection. And the back of it, it said, confidential Phase 1 Raccoon City test complete. Phase 2, Paris facility fully operational. That basically meant Raccoon City was destroyed, the mansion was destroyed, and now it was all planned out and it was ready for this game. This is the first Resident Evil game to not have pre-rendered backgrounds. It's the first one that was fully in 3D, and I can remember me and my brother sitting there and playing this game, and we were blown away. The lighting effects when, like in the opening where she's running and they're shooting at her from the helicopter to the point where she's in the jail, and you light up the lighter and there's cockroaches walking on the walls. And when we played this game, I became connected to the game and the system, and it was one of the most beautiful amazing Resident Evil game. Probably my favorite next to one is this game for sure. And it has some of the best memories I ever had playing with my brother. And from that point on, I had this sentimental attachment to the system. Maybe a biased one, but it was a very sentimental attachment. But as time rolled on, I began growing more fond and fonder of the system, and it wasn't just that sentimental moment. This system to me was like one of the last hoorahs, like the last Sega throwing everything they could at this one console, and it was a true gamer's machine. Games are great now, I'm not saying they're not, but for me, that was one of the last hardcore gaming systems that I remember falling in love with. I remember picking up Sonic Adventure, for example, this game, and this is the first time we got to see Sonic in 3D. It didn't happen on the Saturn, we got 3D Blast, and I remember turning this on and playing the first level, and I literally just was like in awe of running around. My brother wasn't a fan of this in particular, it was me, but I was just blown away by everything that this system had. That's basically my story of how I got my Dreamcast. I'm sorry if the video seemed a little bit long, but one thing I did want to mention is I will be doing a review about this system later, but as time went on with this system, you know, the launch titles were all fantastic. We had Blue Stinger, which by today's standards, you might look at this and think, oh, this game's ridiculous. This was one of the coolest, ridiculous games I've ever played in my life. I mean, we're talking about Santa Claus Christmas music playing while you are killing giant monsters and coins are shooting out of it. Soul Calibur, one of the first major 3D games that is one of the most beautiful games in the world, still looks amazing on VGA through HDMI on TV. All these games were 480p and they all look amazing. The system itself, that when I looked at it, is beautiful, and also had a modem I'll talk about later where, like I said, you can play online. Very simple cube. This is the limited edition black one, so this is not my original Dreamcast, although Derek has that for me in storage. And one game I would love to talk about with you guys later is Shenmue, which I feel this is not only my favorite RPG of all time next to Panzer Dragoon Saga, and also my fiance's favorite game of all time, but it is a game changer. This is a game that literally changed the foundation of everything, and it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played in my life. Last year when they announced the third one, me and my fiance literally screamed at the top of our lungs to the point of hysteria and crying. And don't think I'm crazy, go on YouTube, punch in Shenmue reactions. Nobody expected to get this game. The really cool thing about this system is after a few years I went on and I was working, I got caught up in life and love and dating and heartbreak and all that crap you go through in your 20s, drinking bars, everything, and I returned back to it and I started collecting a lot of games for this system. And I mean, below this is all Saturn, there's some Japanese Saturn, there's, you know, PC Engine, and then Dreamcast. Here's my European Shenmue 2. Fucking brilliant on all of these games that are down here. But when I came back to it, I remembered that memory and I shared it with my now pretty much wife, fiance, AJ, and I was telling her about it, and I showed her all these games in Space Channel 5 and Grandia or Mach and X. There was just so many. Jet Grind Radio, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the amount of Capcom fighting games. Even the ironic thing is I mentioned to my brother, I said, yeah, I have about 135 or 40 games on it. And he goes, they made that many games? And the reason he said that is because the system got canceled so early. This poor, beautiful console got canceled after, like, in America, I think it was like a year and a half to 2 years and 3 years in Japan. And they actually managed to put out over 300 games in America. I think like 350, and worldwide over 600. And these aren't shit games. We're talking about the most unique, high quality games, Capcom fighting games, everything. So I'm gonna end this on this note. I have been in love with this console ever since. You know, like I said, you want to call it fanboying, I don't give a fuck. This system to me is one of my favorite systems. Not only does it hold one of the best memories in the world for me, but till this day, you go online, there is 1 billion people that still talk about this system. It is so passionate that if you look at this game on the wall, I don't know if you can see it, Pure Solar and the Great Architects, that is a brand new RPG that just came out last year. physical copy for this console. They're still making games for it, indie developed games. You could even still go online with this system on secret servers. There is a passion that this system brought, and it died way too early. I'm not going to go into the reasons why. Well, later, I know there was excitement over Sony's system and DVD player and all this other stuff going on, but time for me stopped with this system, and it has never changed. People may say it died early, but you know what? It has lived longer than every other system from that era, and I guarantee you 10 years from now, people will still be making games for this console, which is unbelievable. So basically that's my video. I'll do a review of it later, but this is it. 9/9/1999, the Sega Dreamcast, for me, one of the most hardcore, last amazing consoles ever made, and one of the best memories I've ever had of any Christmas in my life. It couldn't even beat the NES when I opened it with the light gun. So to that again, Derek, thank you so much for doing that for me. I'll never forget what you did and taking care of me and getting me that system. It was a great thing. And thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me rant forever about this. I went on longer than I thought I was going to. But if you ever decide you want to hop on Dreamcast, there is a game for this system for every one of you. And on one last note, I just want to say one more thing. See this memory card? This isn't a review, but when I got this memory card, I shit my pants, okay? It had a screen on it. You literally can pop this into the controller like this, and if you played Resident Evil, it would show your lifeline on it as you were playing the game. Or you can train your chows on a Sonic Adventure and then pop it out, and you can feed them and play mini games and then put it back into the system and raise them in 3D. It was the coolest thing ever. But again, I'll save this for my review later. Thank you guys so much for watching my video, and please stay tuned for more. Thank you.